After David's presentation, he came here 2 years ago. Many of the attendees asked that he speak again, and they were, at Wegmans, they were quoting what he said. And I realized this is, you better be careful. I was delighted when I called him. He says, yeah, oh, sure, I'd love to come back. Under David's leadership, New York's become a national leader in distributed solar, and people in the entire country looked to David for information and expertise. We don't know how important we are in New York State, because we really, really are pace setters. So, you know, what you see here is going out beyond here. He has a leadership role in NYSERDA, where he's regarded as he's going to not like this, the guru of distributed energy. You could take that home. I'm really glad that David can give us a really good, comprehensive, what is that? Oh, okay, it's there already. A comprehensive talk about what New York State is doing. And listen, world, because David knows where it's at. David. Before he does come up, don't forget, write these out. And I have another real fast comment. Please let people know that all the plates and plasticware with food goes into the compost, green waste baskets. This had nothing to do with your speech. Oh, pass the cards to the ends so that we can collect them up. Okay, with that, do I have to speak about you again? I don't think so. Okay, okay, David.
Thanks, Rhea. Do you want your cell phone back? Well, Rhea, thanks for having me. And it was great 2 years ago when I was here, and really excited to spend the day today with this group here. You really know how to throw a party and bring the right people. So, yeah, my name is David Sandbank, as you see on the slide. I'm here to talk about battery energy storage, which is a hot topic these days. And I want to talk about why battery energy storage, because I think that's really critical for everyone to understand this tool that is available for us that could help all of us. And that's really what I'm going to cover today. So I think it's really important to first talk about where we are today and how the grid was built and the challenges. And Anna covered some of this, and I'm going to expand on that a little bit. We have an aging infrastructure. Basically, our grid is really old and antiquated, and it needs to get updated. Not only that, if you think about it, not only do we have a backbone of a fragile and antiquated grid, we're plugging a lot more things in these days, aren't we, right? Think about everything from your power tools to electric vehicles to just your phones, your laptops. The economy is relying on that grid now more than ever and will continue doing so. And so this is a real economic development issue right now that we have in the country. We have to upgrade our infrastructure to do so because we have to support the economy and jobs. When you layer on top of that the extreme weather that we have, it puts a lot more pressure on this older grid, and that exasperates the issue even further. We have reliability risks because of that. There's certain regions that are more affected than others, and it's a real issue that we're dealing with as a whole. So Anna covered this a little bit earlier. I want to expand upon it a little bit. This is really not just about, do we have enough electricity? It's when do we need that electricity, right? It's all about timing, and this is where I'm going to get into battery storage and how it becomes a solution a little bit later on. And Ann and I were talking earlier about metaphors to try to explain this. And I'm going to take credit for her idea right now because she said the school bus, and I'm thinking, well, who knows? I know how much a school bus costs. That's not enough. What if it was a home, and let's take her idea of Thanksgiving, and said, you're going to work with the realtor, you need to buy a new home. But hey, we need to buy a home for Thanksgiving visitors and friends and family. So instead of our 3-person family needing 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms, let's get 6 or 7 bedrooms instead, because we know on that weekend we're going to host Thanksgiving. Oh, and we're going to need more appliances in the kitchen too, right? I need 2 dishwashers, I need 2 ovens, and a much bigger kitchen. Oh, not only that, we're going to have to heat this house and cool it for the big square footage that we have now. And we're going to have a lot of bedrooms, and we're not going to use them much except for on Thanksgiving, but that's okay. They'll just sit there dormant, right? Oh, and we're going to need a much bigger mortgage because we're going to have to pay more every month for this big house. Oh, that we only need for a few days of the year. That literally is our grid right now, right? And we think, let's do some numbers here, right? When we're talking about how much power our grid needs to produce for the peak times of New York State, we're talking about 42 gigawatts of power. Today, we're probably using 15, 16 gigawatts. That's the delta between what we have to pay for is the 40 gigawatts, but what we're using is the 16 for today. And that's the problem with the timing of energy and what we have to do, because it's called a capacity utilization rate. It's an issue, and guess what? Who pays for that? Everybody in this room pays for it. So now I sort of covered a decent portion of this, but like, what is the issue between an old grid and the capacity utilization issue here? How does that affect us? It increases our costs for our electricity, period. Gives us reliability risk. It makes us more vulnerable for outages and risks in that area during extreme weather events, and they are getting larger. It creates dirtier air because we're using the oldest peaker plants to give us that power when in time of need, and trying to keep them and maintain them throughout the year, which is not good for the environment and what the air we're breathing. And then, you know, a lot of people sort of miss this part, economic development. One of the biggest restrictions of if you own a business and you want to expand your business, especially in areas like this, one of the biggest restrictions is access to more power. Many times, a business will say, I need another megawatt. And that could be the straw that breaks the camel's back, and the utility will say it's going to be $25 or $30 million. They're not lying. That literally, what it could be to upgrade an entire substation. But what if we were smarter about that? What if we incorporated modern day tools? How many lithium-ion batteries do you think there are in this room right now? Raise your hand if you don't have one with you right now. That's what I thought. As long as you regulate these batteries, as long as they're standardized, they become really safe and really effective to help our daily lives. I mean, you're all walking around with phones without cords, right? Could you imagine having a long cord with you everywhere you go? Wouldn't work. So lithium-ion and battery energy storage is an essential tool that's already helping the economy and the world right now. Imagine if we took that tool and used it in our grid, how much better off we'd all be. Boom. So let's go to the benefits to the public. If battery storage could help us lower our bills, create more reliable service, help with our economic development and jobs, and give us cleaner local air. So Governor Hochul realized this, the state realizes this. So what we did was we took our battery goals and we said, you know what? let's double them. Let's go to 6 gigawatts of battery storage by 2030 for all the reasons I just talked about, right? Not only that, we're going to have long-term system need. Our analysis showed that we're going to need more than 6 gigawatts, but the 6 gigawatts is going to get us on our way. We're going to probably need more like 12 gigawatts by 2040 and 17 plus by 2050 to meet the growing demand of all the things we're plugging into the grid and helping our economy. So the path beyond 2030 is beyond 6 gigawatts, but the 6 gigawatts is going to help us understand how to deploy the storage, how to use it properly, and build an industry within the state of New York, creating union jobs to be able to create a sector that is not only a job-creating sector, but helping the entire economy. So how do you do that safely? I think everybody here knows there's been 3 incidents in the state of New York that were related to battery energy storage. We take that incredibly seriously. So Governor Hochul decided to put together what we call an interagency fire safety working group. And you're going to be hearing from some of my colleagues that are on the fire safety working group for Energy Safety Response Group, better known as ESRG. Paul, Rogers, and Dan are going to also speak as well. And we're in this together. So I really want to spend a decent amount of this presentation time until I get the hook from Rhea on why safety matters and how New York State is leading the way. So let's talk about the group itself, this working group. In response to the 3 incidents we had in 2023, Governor Hochul decided to put this group together. What we did was we partnered with other state agencies. You can see on the left part of the slide there. So this isn't just NYSERDA. It's not just the state. But we all pulled together and we had a lot of conversations and built a core team of national renowned experts in battery energy storage safety. So we talked, and I am so curious, and like Anna said, dives into something. Well, we have a lot of similarities there. I literally dove into this. And I was really curious, and I asked a lot of questions. And so we all, as a group, spoke to energy storage developers in the industry and what their challenges are. We spoke to other states. We spoke to other countries. I talked to insurance companies and say, how do you feel about insuring energy storage? We talked to financial partners who provide equity to these projects and want to understand what their concerns are and what they do. We partnered with FDNY, the leading fire department in the country and one of the most resourced and able fire departments in the country, about what they did around battery energy storage. We talked to a lot of the local governments as well, and we talked to a lot of national laboratories. So we really took a lot of incoming. And what did we learn from that? Well, we learned a lot. And it was really interesting. We explored what the current landscape was at the time in 2023 for oversight when it comes to battery energy storage, when it comes to permitting battery energy storage, when it comes to zoning it, inspecting it, everything. And we realized, you know what? We do have a little work to do here in New York State for the 6 gigawatt goal and making sure we ensure that these projects are safe. But we did an analysis on the 3 incidents. What we did notice, and we worked with DEC on, is that in every instance, on all 3 incidences, and this is exactly the same as the reports we're getting from Moss Landing in California and all the international, some of the international incidents that we know of, right, that happened. The same results. There were no reported injuries, no detected harmful levels of contaminants linked to these fires. And I'm talking about air, soil, and water. Tested everything. So that's one thing. Okay, we had these incidents, but thank God nobody got hurt. Thank God there was no environmental impact. We also, as I said, looked at our state codes and said, you know what? We're going to look at everything. And we put together code recommendations through this group, said, what's missing? What do we need to put in these codes so that these projects are going to build and be very safe? And we provided, what, 13 code recommendations, something like that, Paul? Yeah? To the Code Council. And by miracle, somehow, within a year's time, maybe a little bit over a year, those codes were actually adopted. The beginning of this year are currently in effect. As far as code goes, and again, I didn't know much about code until I started doing this, it's pretty amazing how quickly we turn that around. The governor asked us to do field inspections for some of the larger projects. At the time, I'm thinking, well, I don't know really what that's going to do, but when the governor asks you to do something, you do it, right? So we went out and explored 57 of the largest projects. Boy, did we learn a lot. And what I think I really took away from that is these projects are sophisticated projects. They're all slightly different, have different use cases. They're built differently, have different manufacturers, different developers. And when they permit these projects, local communities a lot of times just don't have the level of subject matter expertise to evaluate these projects. And I saw that as a big hole. So what we did was two things about that, and I'll get into it. One, we required in the codes a mandatory peer review process by a third party to provide that subject matter expertise and provide it to the communities. But also, what I decided to do was in program, most of the energy storage projects are getting some sort of NYSERDA incentive and financial assistance. We have 3 of the most nationally renowned companies mandatory doing the peer reviews on every single project that comes through our program. And if there's something wrong, it's like a desktop review. If there's something wrong with that project, the way it's being reviewed, we don't approve it and don't allow it to move forwards until they redesign that project to our specifications by our third-party companies. Wow, I gotta go fast. Okay, so I'm gonna go quickly through this because Paul Rogers is gonna hit these with a lot more detail, and he's really a leading expert here. These are the fire code updates that were adopted. Let's just talk about number 3. I call it the 15 4-hour rule. Now, there is hazard support personnel and a subject matter expert attached to every single project in the state of New York, period, right? They have to be available within about 15 minutes and on site within 4 hours. So those local fire departments nervous about not knowing what to do, not only is there emergency response plan that is there, not only is there mandatory training that's there, but there is an individual that is going to be able to assist them immediately if an incident were to occur. NOC, Network Operations Center, incredibly important. There's like 2,000 data points a second that a battery energy management system can provide. But there's got to be a 24/7 monitoring of that data and someone that can look at that data and see if there is something that is going to go wrong to get ahead of it, right, and fix it before it happens. That's really critical. So I'll just cover those 2, Paul, because I don't want to get on Ria's bad side. I've heard that's not a good thing to do. So I'll let you handle those more. And then I'll lastly say, Jen Manier's here. Jen, why don't you raise your hand? She runs the siting team at NYSERDA. The siting team is a all-star group of NYSERDA staffers, and they offer really good services, and they are between our programs and the community, and they help the communities in so many different ways that are on this slide. Ria, how'd I do? Timing-wise, good? Okay, good. Well, thanks for your time, and we'll be around for questions later as well.